Welcome. You have reached review time with Imperial, and today's review will be Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. Let's get into it. So, this is part 2 of Spider-Man the Multiverse. That was part 1. When it first came out a few years ago, I didn't really understand it much. I watched it. I'm not even sure if I did a review on this channel with that. I might have. But I rewatched it a couple weeks ago just to get familiar with what really happened. And when I rewatched it, it gave me more clarity that I know I didn't catch in the first time I watched it. So brings us to this one. So like I always, when I review comic movies, shows, I always put the novice hat on. The people that's deep in the comics could break down all different types of dimensions and characters, and so this is movie I think is perfect for the comic people that are really dive into comics and know the history of everything, because there's a lot of stuff that novices, when we look at this, we like, well, what's going on and why is it this character? But it's showing a lot of different multiverse Spider-Mans that I guess, I don't know if they're made up or they are out there in so many comics that they're bringing them all into this movie. So I'm gonna give you this review from a novice perspective, and for us novices that are entertained by the comic movies and shows, we'll understand it to our entertainment. Let's go over the cast. So you have Shamik Moore plays as Miles Morales. Haley Steinfeld plays as Gwen Stacy. Oscar Isaac plays as Miguel O'Hara. So that's the Spider-Man in this multiverse. Now Oscar Isaac, he plays as Moon Knight in the Marvel series as well. So shout out to him. He making extra money. Jake Johnson plays as Peter Parker. Issa Rae has a role as Jessica Drew, which is a Spider-Woman. In this one, who else we want to bring in? Brian Tyree Henry plays as Jefferson Davis. Karan Sani plays as Spider-Man India. Then we got Amanda Steinfeld plays as Spider-Bite. And let me go over anybody else that I could have missed. Daniel Akuya plays as Hober Hobby Brown, aka Spider Punk. So that's another Spider-Man in this series. So let's get into it. And we're going. The movie's about 2 hours and 15 minutes long. Enjoy yourself. You will enjoy it. So it starts off with, of course, my Miles Morales in the Spideyverse. So it shows Earth 65, Chelsea, New York. It shows Gwen Stacy. Of course, she's the masked Spider-Woman. And in her multiverse, or her version of Spider-Man, Peter Parker drunk some serum and it turned him into a monster and he was killed. And after he was killed, he turned back into Peter Parker. So it made it look like Spider-Woman was the one who killed Peter Parker. Meanwhile, Gwen Stacy's dad is the captain, and he came in and seen Spider-Woman standing over Peter and figured that she was the one who killed him. And so he's been on a hunt after her ever since. Of course, he doesn't know that Spider-Woman is his daughter. So it shows Gwen missing Miles. So then there's a moment where Gwen is at home talking to her dad, and there's a call on the radio of villain by the name of Vulture that's coming out So they thinking this is time because they know Spider-Woman's gonna show up. We're gonna capture her here. So when Vulture shows up, of course, when Stacy's Spider-Woman shows up to attack Vulture, in the process of that, you see two characters pop up. One is Jessica Drew, who is also Spider-Woman in her verse, but she's pregnant. And then you see Miguel O'Hara, who's a Spider-Man in his verse as well. But he has like each Spider-Man, of course, has their own like special powers, and so his look real strong. He looked like a strong tarantula type Spider-Man, if you want to say that. So, nevertheless, you find out that they are part of a special group who goes to different multiverses, and they keep the balance on all the multiverses. So from there, it shows Gwen is a moment where Gwen is being at gunpoint by her dad, and she reveals her face and tells her dad, and her dad, because he's by the book, he's like, I still gotta lock her up. So he start reading her rights. And so at that moment, Miguel and Jessica intervened, pretty much gave Gwen a wristband which allows her to go to different dimensions and not glitch. So from there, that allowed them to go through the dimensions and took Gwen with her. Jessica Drew pretty much vouched for her, like, I think she'd be a good fit for what we do. So she left, and pretty much Gwen felt some type of way, like, bye, Dad. Meanwhile, it goes to Miles Morales' story now. Some time has passed since he's been Spider-Man. This is Earth 161. So his parents are at his school to talk about his future, going to college. He's not showing up, of course. He out stopping crime. So there's a character that pops up named Spot, and this character is spots pop up in wherever he's at, and he jumps through the hole or the spot and then ends up somewhere else. However, he doesn't really truly understand his powers yet, so he does petty crimes. So it shows Spider-Man, pretty much Miles Morales shows up, pretty much is making fun of him and basically tell him he's goofy in a sense. So he tells Miles, hey, I created you. I took a AC Max spider from another dimension, and I brought it here, and it bit you. So when you was running through a hole, so it shows a flashback when Miles is running through the hall and knocked into him. It made him lose everything. He lost his face, and now he didn't have a purpose. So he basically said, I'm gonna be your nemesis. And so Miles laughed at him like, look, man, I don't got problems with you. Like, he looked at him like he was a joke. So what this does is spirals him to want to really become something serious and really come back and hurt Miles. So now Miles is showing up to the school so he can go to the meeting with his parents, talking about college. He want to do his own thing, and when he does, he wants to go to Princeton in New Jersey. The parents want him to stay in Brooklyn and go to college, but he said, pretty much, y'all gotta let me do my own thing. So they both get the dad gets a call that it's a villain out there. So do Miles' spidey senses. They both leave and end up at where Spot is, and then Spot end up going into his own hole inside of himself. And this is where Spot finds out how he can become stronger and really understand his powers. Meanwhile, Miles in Spider-Man form in his costume is talking to his dad, but of course the dad think he's just talking to Spider-Man. He's talking about his son. He's disconnected from his son, and he's trying to reach him, but he can't. And pretty much Miles says, pretty much you need to let him go, let him spread his wings. So they have a memorial for the uncle, Aaron, and the dad is talking. First, the mom started talking. The dad began to talk when they said, mention Miles. Of course, he wasn't there yet. He was trying to get there. He wanted to get a special cake made for his uncle and for the party. But of course, along the way, he's trying to save everybody and getting caught up in that whole thing. Spread thin. The cake was messed up by the time he got there. He was late. In the process of him being there, he runs into Gwen showed up, and they basically she was he doesn't know what she there for. He thinks she came back just to see him. She did, but she was there for another mission, and it distracted her. So she goes and spends time with Miles, and they're enjoying each other's company. And so Miles' parents confronted him like, you were late, and pretty much you grounded for a month. And then the dad pretty much, when he walked off, his dad said you grounded for 2 months. And so they got to see that he was with a girl, and she had to leave because she got a trigger that what she was really there for was for Spot, and she got distracted. And so you find out that she missed Spot her chance to grab him. Meanwhile, Miles's mother pretty much told him like, you need to go chase after her. Like, I know your dad put you on a punishment, but I understand. I'm gonna always be here for you. So they have a little heart to heart with his mom. So Jessica Drew approaches Gwen and pretty much say, look, I stuck my neck out for you. You can't be distracted like that. I told you leave Miles alone because it's not going to be good for you or him. So when Gwen said, you never, made a mistake with somebody, she pretty much said, yeah, and it cost him. So she said, all right, I need one more chance. I could get him. And so Jessica Drew gives Gwen the dimension that Spot went to, so she could go capture him. However, she said, if you don't succeed, I can't help you. Miles is watching this the whole time. And so when Gwen goes into the dimension, the portal is still open. So Miles followed behind her in that dimension. And now here's where it gets to, you're in a different Spideyverse. This is Spider-Man India. And so, like I say, each one has different powers and everything. They got a different backstory. So you meet Spider-Man, Spider-Man Punk shows up as well. So in this whole time, everybody is trying to grab Spot, and they end up not succeeding. At that moment, after they didn't succeed, however, Miles saved some people, which was Spider-Man India, his family member. So he pretty much like thanked Miles. Miles think he did something great. However, Jessica Drew showed up pretty much where the rest of the Spider-Man crew and said that Miguel O'Hara wants to see all of them at headquarters. So Miles is pretty much like excited, like, oh yeah, I'm going to headquarters. I really want to be part of this. So when he finally meets, he's talking to Spider-Man Punk. He's walking with Gwen, and they're meet and then run into all these different Spider-Mans from different multiverses. When he finally meets Miguel, Miguel's like an a-hole, and Miguel tell him pretty much how he messed up. Pretty much he told Miles that by him saving Spider-Man India's family, it disrupted his whole verse because they are all connected by their pain. Basically, all of them have to lose somebody close to them, and that's how they're all connected. So it goes and show all the Spider-Mans, their hardship persons that they lost during this, which made them a better person. So he gets to find out each one of them they lost. In the process of that, Peter Parker Spider-Man that he met from part 1 showed up as well. And so they're all telling him, like, you needed to let that happen. So Miguel told him he once went into his verse and he altered the death or whatever. So, but it messed everything up. It changed the timeline and events of everything. So when they told Miles this, they told him that each one was, every time it's the same thing. They lose a captain. His dad was about to become captain, so he like, well, what y'all telling me here? And so all the Spider-Mans is talking to him. He like, well, what is this, an intervention? And pretty much they're all telling him like he has to let it happen. And so he looked at Gwen like, ain't your dad a captain? And she's like, yeah, she's basically got to let it happen as well. So Miles like, nah, this ain't right. Like, I'm supposed to just sit and let this happen. So what Miguel does is that he places Miles in like electrical cube that he shouldn't be able to get out of. He said, I'm gonna have to keep you in there for 3 days. Basically, the time will pass, and we have to let your dad die. So Miles is not feeling that. So like I said, each Spider-Man has their own special powers. So we know some of Miles' powers that he can charge up like electricity, and he could go invincible as well. So he charges up and breaks out of that tomb. And so now it's a big chase to chase Miles, and all the Spider-Mans is chasing after him, and he ended up getting into a big fight with Miguel. And in the process of him fighting with Miguel gets frustrated and tells him basically he wasn't supposed to be bit. His verse was there was another Peter Parker that was supposed to get bit. Somehow he was the one that got bit, and it changed everything. So basically he was a mistake. So he wasn't supposed to be even part of this at all. So Miles is taking that like personal. So what Miles does, he outthinks Miguel. He used his charged up electric power, shocked Miguel off, which freed him up for him to get back to headquarters, and he went in invincible mode. So now he's putting in a system on how to get back home. So he tells the system, and it identifies his eyes and everything, so that it sends him back to the dimension that he's supposed to be in. Now, there's an avatar Spider-Man that controls all the computer system. It was a moment where when Miles was ready to get shipped off, she could have stopped. Miguel was trying to get through, but she didn't stop Miles because they connected. Meanwhile, Miguel was upset. He sent Gwen Stacy home. Said basically she's out of the crew. He sent Peter Parker home as well. Said he's out of the crew because he was supposed to be the mentor to Miles. Now that Peter Parker Spider-Man had a child, and his child's pretty much Spider Baby. He was going on events. The little child got little already. Her DNA is a Spider Baby or whatever. So from there, Miguel pretty much is taking Jessica Drew, and they're going to a dimension where you think they're going where Miles is. Miles thinks he's going to his dimension, which is Earth 161. However, the portal took him to Earth 42. That's where his spider bite came from. So it took him to that dimension. And when Gwen was sent back home, she ended up having a heart-to-heart with her dad about everything. And she finds out that her dad, he quit the force. So now he's not captain. So he was able to change the timeline without her intervening. So that triggered her, like, I gotta get to Miles' dimension and let him know that it's a way that it can be changed if he doesn't intervene. So when he went, of course it goes back to Miles, and basically he went to the wrong dimension. You find out that he went to 42, Earth 42. He should have been in Earth 161. Gwen went to Miles' correct dimension. When he went to Miles' correct dimension, she went and spoke with his parents because she slipped into his house, and his parents were having a conversation, and she pretty much told her that, hey, he loved y'all. And of course they were along like, who you and where's he at? And she said, I don't know where he at, but I'm gonna find him. And the mom pretty much said he got 5 months, meaning 5 months punishment, but when you find him, tell him we love him. And so meanwhile, Jessica Drew was watching Gwen, and from afar watching Gwen at this moment. So in Earth 42, Miles links up with Uncle Aaron. And before he know it, he gets knocked out from behind, finds out Uncle Aaron is alive, but his dad is the one who died in that dimension. Uncle Aaron has him tied up. So they make, in this dimension, he was telling his mom that he was Spider-Man, but he thinks he's in the correct dimension, but the mom ain't know nothing what he was talking about or whatever. So he was talking about his dad and everything, but of course his dad is dead in that dimension. And so Uncle Aaron shows up and pretty much said, I handle this. So they even looked at him and say, you got a new haircut or whatever. They were shocked. That's how the uncle knew he wasn't the correct Miles. So he gets knocked up. When he wakes up, Uncle Aaron has him tied up, and he pretty much telling him, I'm a good guy, explaining everything. And Uncle Aaron ain't saying nothing the whole time. Then you see a Spider-Man pop up, and when you see the Spider-Man pop up, it's Miles Morales, but they call him Problem. So he's like a villain Spider-Man in this sequence, in this dimension. And he got braids, and he put on a claw, and he's ready to claw the Miles from Earth 161. But the cliffhanger is, it shows Miles very charged up to break himself out of that, the chains against the pole. Meanwhile, it shows Gwen, she built her own crew. Now she great head to a dimension, I guess, to help and find Miles from Earth 161. And it also shows Peter Parker, Spider-Man, with his baby Spider-Man, and the baby Spider-Man put her mask on, and looking like he ready to go help. So overall, a decent movie. I broke it down as much as I could. What I reviewed, I know the truth comic heads, I have a field day with this, and I'm pretty sure they give it a 4 out of 4. But for me, being a novice, I give it a 3.5 out of 4 stars, because it was lower than that, because it really doesn't kick off until the last 45 minutes of the movie. The first hour and a half in the movie is a lot of dialogue. Really, an hour might go by and nothing really happened. Then the next 30 minutes it picks up a little bit, but the real meat and potatoes of the movie is like the last 45 minutes. That's when it really pick up and everything start happening. Around an hour and a half into it, and that's when he meets up with Miguel, and Miguel starts around that time. That's when it really start picking up. So nevertheless, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and there's supposed to be a part 2 to this one, where it's across the this one is across the multiverse, and the next one is beyond the multiverse. Till next time.